What's going on here gamers? Today we're going to be jumping into a little bit of Gotham Knights, a video that I didn't really expect to be making, but there's a brand new DLC out. Is it worth your time? And what exactly is it all about? If you're interested, then stay tuned. That's coming up next. So, like I said, this is a bit of an unexpected video for me. I didn't think I'd be doing any more on Gotham Knights. However, the game has had some DLC that pretty much came out of nowhere. A few days ago, over on Twitter, they put out a bit of a cryptic tweet mentioning that all of the big bads were now gathering. This was followed by the fact that they've now launched a new heroic assault mode, and that's called the Kelvin Incident. So it was time for me to dust off the old spandex, jump back in, and see exactly how good it is. So I re-downloaded the game, had a little look through my characters and how geared up they were, or in this case weren't should I say, and then jumped in with my favourite character Nightwing and see exactly what new content brings us. At the very start, quickly looking over it, it's very similar to the last one with Starro, except this time in my opinion they've made it quite a bit better, especially for the fact that they've narrowed how many floors you've got to achieve, and this time it's 15 rather than the 30, which I think was a bit of overkill, very time consuming, and 15 to me is just a much better number overall. However, as you can see, going over it, all of the floors, very similar to the last heroic, are going to reward you with different level drops depending on what floor you're on. And this time, when you make your way all the way to the very end, you're able to get all the way to gear level 80, which is a massive improvement on what you've got at the moment. Now, upon jumping into the DLC, there was a few things that became very apparent. One was that it was going to be very similar in style to the last heroic assault. This time the settings based around the sewers and a little bit later on in the Star Labs. And the other thing was that I had completely forgotten how to play the game, so apologies for the poor footage. I was pressing all of the wrong buttons, getting hit by things that I definitely shouldn't have been, and in general at the start was making things look a lot harder than they should have been. Now if I slow down this footage here, this in my opinion is going to be whether or not you want to make it back into the game, and that's going to be now you've got these dark purple drops which are your new mythic gear. These are going to give you the highest amount of damage, they've got the most gear slots, and they're the best pieces you can get overall in the game currently. In fact, if we jump over to our inventory, you can see some of these pieces, as well as there being some new items like the Dauntless suit. These mythic pieces come with more mod slots than any of the other pieces available in the game, with the suits having 4, and the weapons now having a whopping 5 available to you. Obviously, to go hand in hand with this, you're also going to get those higher level of drops for the mods. These, however, do not go up to mythic currently, they just stay at legendary, but you can get some ridiculous amount of damage with your gear now, and I'd highly advise trying to chuck in some crit chance and some crit damage in order to get as close to 100% chance as possible, which can result in some truly devastating numbers further down the line. Now the gameplay is very similar to everything you've experienced before, so you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. You're going to make your way through those set levels, trying to make your way all the way to the very last one, that floor 15, and each floor is going to contain 3 kind of parts that you've got to beat in order to complete the level. I was trying this on the hardest difficulty, and even though I was starting to remember the buttons and everything I was supposed to be doing, it was very time consuming, especially if you're playing solo. So I'd say in general, this is probably best played with friends or played with other people. As solo I found it could get a little bit monotonous. In fact, after a while, I actually put the difficulty setting down. Even though I wasn't having any issues clearing content, I found that it was so time consuming that it just wasn't worth having it at the hardest difficulty. You're going to be making your way through the heroic mode, and every 5 waves, you're going to get yourself a boss battle. These are going to revolve around bosses you've already encountered during your campaign, so it's going to be Harley, Dr. Freeze, and of course Clayface. And you'll be taking on 2 of them at a time, and for the final last floor 15, you'll be taking all 3 of them at once. Now whether or not this is worth your time all comes down to exactly what you want from the game. Don't forget the reason you're doing this is to become more powerful, and you can also unlock some transmogs for both your characters and your bike. And the great thing is, there is some truly powerful gear within this game now, some of which can allow you to do upwards of hundreds of thousands of points of damage, making your characters feel very strong. If you're someone who really enjoyed playing Gotham Knights, I think this DLC is going to be very much worth your time to come back, try and farm the best piece of gear, craft the perfect build, and just have a lot of fun within this new heroic mode. However, the only downside for me is that there's probably not going to be much more to it than that. I could see this being something you'll come back to, you're going to play it for a day, 2, maybe even 3, but then after that, there is no real additional content to it. So once you've got your ideal build, it's pretty much just going to sit there on your hard drive. So ultimately, is it worth coming back to Gotham Knights? In my opinion, yes, but probably not for very long. It's not going to hold your attention for more than a few days, but it is still a fun little addition that's kind of come out of the blue. But yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you guys and girls all think? As always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.